Ikiwa una nia ya kuanzisha biashara wakati ambao taifa linashuhudia mawimbi ya uchumi mbaya, usianzishe biashara hiyo. Haya ni kwa mujibu wa Mjasiriamali kutoka Singapore Mario Singh, ambaye amekuwa humu nchini na bara la Afrika kwa ujumla katika matayarisho ya kongamano la kibiashara Afrika Kusini. Singh, ambaye pia ni mwandishi wa vitabu, ameiambia Hope TV kuwa mataifa mengi yanapitia msukosuko wa kiuchumi na gharama ya juu ya maisha kufuatia mkurupuko wa virusi vya COVID-19 na jaribio la mataifa hayo kujaribu kuchapisha pesa zaidi ili kuziba mwanya huo wa kiuchumi. Aidha, amewataka wote walio na nia ya kujiingiza katika biashara kuzingatia hali ya uchumi na umuhimu wa biashara hiyo baada ya muda fulani.
So in Johannesburg, the main key thing was the FinTech conference. So I told my team that I didn't just want to fly halfway around the world to just speak in the FinTech conference. So I wanted to find out more about African culture. And when I spoke more about these things with them, they told me, why don't you go visit Kenya? So as I read and I studied more about the country, I mean, what really fixated me was, of course, Kenya is one of the larger economies here, English speaking, which is great, because that's not happening in Asia. You know, where I'm from Singapore. So the surrounding countries, we're all speaking different languages. So that's the beautiful part for me, right? So coming here, one of the key things, I'm doing a business conference that's actually happening in the next couple of days. So over there, I just want to share my knowledge that I've benefited from over the last so many years. And I just want to help pour myself into the people here so that they can learn real actionable strategies on how to combat certain ills. I will use the word ills like inflation. Well, the reason actually comes from COVID. So let me explain why, so that people understand what has transpired historically over the last 3 years and what steps we can take to mitigate all these risks. So number one, let's start with COVID, okay? So when COVID happened and all economies were shut down, what were the governments doing? Whether is it governments in the US, in Europe, in London, in Africa, even in Singapore. Many governments were more or less printing money to kind of support the global economy. So you see, when you do that, you are affecting the imbalance of demand and supply. All right, so as an example, when you're printing too much money, what kind of happens is that inflation becomes artificially inflated, you know, because there isn't so much goods, there's just now more money floating around the system. So when there's inflation, so the first key thing, inflation happens then. And over the years, for the governments to combat inflation, the first key thing they will do is to raise interest rates. I'm fairly certain even in Kenya, over the last 1 to 2 years, interest rates have been rising. Okay? Now when interest rates rise, what is the knock-on effect? Things get more expensive. Your mortgage loans get more expensive. All right? Employers themselves, they feel, oh man, I got to be paying more. And all these are trickle-down effects, you see, to even the men on the ground. The men and women on the ground, they've got to be paying more for food. You've got to be paying more for fuel. You've got to be paying more to service your mortgage loan. All these are being impacted. So inflation is a real problem, not just in Kenya, in fact, in the entire world.